Hello, hello, hello. That's Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. Good afternoon. How we doing today? Electricity's been off since Ruth says 5:30, but to me it felt like it was off since 2 a.m. So, but she said it went off this morning. It's not going to come on until later on this afternoon, 5-ish or something. Always something. Solar takes care of everything in the house but the air conditioning, and it is one hot scratcher out today. So today we're going to talk about just a touch, a little bit about healthcare. And the reason why I'm talking about this is uh, a gentleman was telling me today that Tricare is accepted at a lot of the hospitals. My experience, Tricare is accepted, but you have to pay the bill up front, submit it to the VA, and then they reimburse you. Only reason I'm familiar with it is because I had to help my friend Alton with that. He was in the hospital, and he's in the hospital in Manila, Makati, where was that up there? Had problems getting in. They said, well, problems getting in, meaning that he had to pay the bill up front. And then you submit it back to the VA and they'll reimburse you. So guys, tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. The guys that know this, it's been here and have actually used your VA. Can or is your VA being accepted? The guys are telling me that they have tried them in Iloilo, Naga, some of the hospitals. Well, there's only 4 that accept Tricare anyway. You know, Cebu, Manila, Davao, and CDO. So you guys tell me updates on that. I know that insurance in general is not being accepted. I just recently talked to a gentleman that's selling insurance. He's a provider for many different companies at Pacific Prime, and he was telling me, yeah, what you do, you send the bill then to us, and we'll reimburse the hospital or reimburse you. And I said, what's the if I submit a bill for say 1,000 peso, do you go critique the bill? He said, of course we critique the bill. I said, so how much of that? He said, well, it varies. If you're being charged, in some cases they're charging $9 for a Q-tip. He says, we're going to not pay that. He said there was instances where they were charging $9 for a Q-tip, which is 400 and change peso, 450 peso, in some of the hospitals. And so they're trying to recoup their money during the COVID, because the COVID caused the hospitals to basically almost be bankrupt, so supplying the need to the people out there. And then the ones that did have insurance, they're still waiting on the funds to be reimbursed back to the hospital itself. So it's billions of dollars they're waiting on. Well, you and I know, I don't know that time is still waiting on it, so you may be waiting a little bit longer. So the guys that are out there that actually are veterans that actually use their insurance, give me updates on it. Just leave comments on it. So if I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, let me know. So from my understanding, and I knew this from experience, I just got a gentleman out of the hospital with the same situation. He had to pay the bill up front. He's a veteran. So it was really, I don't know if it's just the hospital you're in. I don't know if it's the care that you're getting. I really don't know all the particulars about it. I know that, as you know, when you go in a hospital in Makati or Manila or wherever you're going in CDOs, the price is going to be different anyway. Now, I know that Medicare and Medicaid is not accepted here, no matter what. There's no such thing as Medicare and Medicaid. You got to go to Guam. I know that for sure. They don't have a system for it. Number one, you have to have a system, meaning you got to be able to log in the computer. You got to have the software. You got to have all these things. They don't have that here. In fact, some hospitals are rarely, when you sign up, you just a piece of paper and you walk in the door. A lot of them don't even have any type of form, computer setup. They do the billing by piece of paper. Some do. Some are still doing the piece of paper. And now the bigger ones, maybe in Davao and some of the other places in Cebu, they probably do by, how can I say, computer and things like that. But although, now here's the dilemma. If you're a veteran, you go in the hospital, you still have to have someone to take and go get the items for you. So say you're having a surgery, internal surgery on whatever. You still have to go buy the gauze, buy the tape, buy the medicines, buy all the stuff that you need to have whatever's repaired. So your wife or girlfriend or neighbor or whomever has to go round up all those items, and not all pharmacies will have it. Some pharmacies will have this medicine, some won't have this medicine. We had to dealing with that. One guy had to go to another completely different city to get it, and it took almost 4 hours to get the medicines needed on this operation, and it was a critical operation. So you really have to do your due diligence where you live. You don't think that hospital is going to have all your medications. They don't have them. They have a pharmacy, but they may not have that particular medication or blood. They're not going to have the blood, number one. Number one, they won't have the blood. You'll have to find donors for the blood, which we've had to do for family members here also, or even had to have it. So you have to find donors for the blood. So if you're in operation and you need something done, you better find a donor. And because it's not like it's the U.S., you can just go pick the blood off the shelf, out of the cooler, and take it and use it. They don't have such a thing like that. Maybe in some of the bigger hospitals they do. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. They can go get the blood, but I know from my personal experience where I've been and what we've had to deal with, even in CDO with Alton, there's no blood there. You had to find someone that's compatible to you to get blood. Also, too, something you got to really be aware of, and something you really have to think about in this day and age. If you're going to the hospital and someone's got to go get those items for you, make sure you have someone to do that. Now, as far as paying the bills, they're going to check and ping your credit card before you gain entry to make sure you have $10,000 or $5,000. Usually they ping it for $5,000 to make sure you have enough funds to be able, because they've gotten burned recently. Quite a few places has on payment of bills. So now if you're Filipino, you can go in on Philly Health, but even then there's certain requirements. They only pay anywhere from 10 to 20% of the bill. I don't care what everybody else is saying, they paid 100% of the bill. I'm on the old plan. And I'm still on the old plan, and they don't pay 100% like they used to. Remember, Philly Health was taken over by the government, so it's now a government organization because of monetary problems, and there was a big thing about it. You guys probably remember this. It was a big thing about it, and millions and billions and billions of dollars. So gone. So they had to revamp that. So that's the reason they're only paying 10%. And you have to stay 3 days in the hospital before they will cover that 10-20%. So there's certain criteria that you have to meet to be able to go in the hospital here. Now, I just was talking to someone. He said that they believe that you can go in under Tricare and they give you deductible and they bill the Tricare. That's not such animal that I'm aware of. So you guys tell me if I'm wrong with that. I know that I just recently, like I said, got someone out of Cebu. Makati also, I was in touch with them about a gentleman in the hospital. He was a veteran, and they don't accept. He has to pay the bill. You have to pay the bill. So the new thing here in the Philippines is if you're sick and you got to go to the hospital, just make sure you have the cash. You don't have the cash, put up the property, put up a car, put up something of need that you have. If you don't have any of those things, you may have to end up having somebody co-sign for you, have a family member that has land co-sign for you, but plan all that out before you go. You don't want to be sitting there at the gate and the gate is still locked and you trying to gain entry into the gate and they're still trying to negotiate the fees and who's going to pay the bill and all that stuff. Because you be at the gate, you may not be at the gate very long. You may pass right there in the van. So that it's happened also. So, and it's just the way it is. You're not in a country that is 100% medical. They have great nurses and great doctors and great care in some of the hospitals, not all, because not all has the equipment. So that's a really important factor. If you're living in CDO, fine. If you live in Davao, fine. They may have the equipment, but not all hospitals have the equipment. So if you need an x-ray done, you might have to go from point A to point B in an ambulance, and you're in pain and agony, and hopefully you're not going to, kill over and get that operation and get that done and what's going on, because they need to x-ray you to find it. Not every hospital. In fact, I would say probably 1 out of 50, 2 out of 50 may have the equipment that's available. And even though they have the equipment, it's not up to date. It doesn't have latest and greatest gadgets on there, and it only does certain parts, and you may have to have multiple scans. I've endured this. So it's not something I'm sitting here just, making this stuff up. We've endured this with family. So this is something that we have endured, and this is something that we know about, and this is something that even a blood test, a simple blood test, some hospitals don't have any way to test your blood. So when you go in the hospital, and it may have 5 stories, it may be the most beautiful place in the world, they test their blood off the facility. Well, if the facility's closed because a power outage, which like today, they are closed because no power, how are they going to test blood? And you're in the hospital, right? And you're laying there like, somebody help me, I'm dying here. Well, they don't have generators. So you have to really, 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 really think about this. And reason I'm saying this more so is I get bombarded, not with 1 email, not with 10 emails, not with 20 emails, sometimes 40, 50, 60, please help me. I'm here, this happened, this happened, this happened. What is your advice on this? What is your advice on that? So getting the blood test can be a problem, even in a big hospital, so they don't have on-site testing. So they take it off-site and they test it and then bring it back to you. And it can take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, 3 hours to test it, not counting traffic, not counting the flow or what's going on. So you guys let me know. If you've actually used your Tricare and it's worked great for you, let me know. Put it in the comments so I can tell the guys out there. Now, I know from experience it's not working. In my case, in my area, and I just talked to Cebu, and a guy up in Manila. So let me know. This is something that's it should be very important for everybody's coming here. Some people really won't care, but you will care when you get sick, and you will care when something happens, and you will care whenever you need that medication, and you're out in boondock somewhere, and you're sitting and you need the medication, and they got to go over to 5 provinces to get the medication. You will be aware of that. I know of an instance where that actually happened, and you could die waiting for the medication, because some of the medications like stop the blood flow, stop as fast as it's flowing. There's so many different type things. A guy had his toe amputated, but they needed certain medication. They didn't have it, so they had to go. And the guy's bleeding to death, waiting on this medication and things, not just medication, other things, medication and other things to complete the thing, because nowhere in this area had the correct stuff, and they had to go point A. You almost need a helicopter to get there. So it happens. It happens quite a bit. So I'm doing this video to anybody out there that has Tricare, that used it, it worked, or any insurance that's actually worked. None that I'm aware of. All the guys are telling me it don't work. Some of my guys, like TGI Fridays was here. There's a guy who comes out of Ormond Beach, is here. He visited for like 2 months and had to go to the hospital, and had insurance. It was Aetna and would not accept it. He had a heck of a time trying to get all that squared away. And even though it's, say, $5,000, that's what it was in his bill, $5,000. Years ago, $5,000 was enough. $5,000 doesn't touch it these days because they've gone up and trying to cover their dollars. They got 30 nurses or 50 nurses in a hospital, 100 employees. They got to maintain the hospital somehow. 90% of the rooms are empty in these hospitals now because people can't afford to even go to them. The public hospitals are overrun. They're laying out on the ground, out in the street, way out in the sidewalks here. For example, they're literally way outside the property and staying outside close to the trees, in the trees, just to get care now. Crazy. I should do a video on it, but I don't do videos on sadness like that. Despair, grief. I don't like doing videos like that, because I don't want to see. You don't want to see 75 or 100 people sleeping over here. You don't want to see 100 people sleeping over here waiting to get in the hospital, or their kids are in there and they're waiting for them to get well. You don't want to see that stuff. It's not good, God bless everybody, and thank you so much. And thank you for watching Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures.